Okay, we're starting. Good evening. This is Rob Bell, and you are watching Getting the Record Straight. This is the Truth to Power segment. Please subscribe, like, share, and please stay safe. We're not out of the woods. Please continue to wear your mask, stay a safe distance. I wish everybody was adhering to that. I had to deal with somebody today who was like, I was like, man, don't get up in my grill, please. But yeah, so this is again the Truth to Power segment of Getting the Record Straight. Of course, I have a website, www.blackrocksoul.com, and go there and you can listen to my YouTube playlists, which I change up a couple of times a week. Always some dynamite music, stuff that you probably know, and then a few things you may never have heard. So check that out. And of course, when you go to that website, blackrocksoul.com, you can press a button for Getting the Record Straight, and it'll bring you right here. So have someone on the phone who I'm going to interview. This is kind of interesting because it's it's a Truth to Power segment, but in my mind, I kind of consider it a wisdom session, because the brother I'm going to introduce and talk to is a person who has seen quite a lot in his times here in this city, and accomplished a great deal, and has been successful at so much. In fact, I'm going to read his bio, and I guess we'll have time for an interview after that. But brother on the phone is my fraternity brother and friend and mentor, Howard James. Howard attended community college, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and Eastern University, where he received his MBA. He's a consultant and training manager and entrepreneur instructor at the Women's Opportunity Resource Center. He's the owner of the Holistic Health Suite and Cafe. He has taught information science at Community College and Drexel University. He's retired from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, where he was the assistant vice president for information technology. He's a deacon at the Christian Church in Philadelphia, life member and founding member and former president of the National Black Data Processing Association. He's a black belt in martial arts and a life member and former bossless of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Mu Omega chapter. He's my brother and friend, as I said before. And in all of these things that I mentioned, Howard, all of these endeavors, he's been a pioneer and a difference maker. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Brother Howard James. Howard, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Rob?
I'm okay, man. I'm out of breath. But,
Huh?
huh?
I had to turn my alarm off. I'm sorry.
I didn't even hear it. But, yeah, can you speak up a little bit? I think we need a little bit of sound here, a little bit of volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're much better. Thank you.
Well,
But thanks for agreeing to come on, spend a little time with me and us. Before I get into some of the things I shared with you and said we should talk, I'd like to talk about, actually, this is for the audience. I want to just mention something personal and a heartfelt kind of comment. One of the reasons why, actually the main reason why I wanted to have Howard on, really is because we talk, I've invited people on to talk about the various things they've done and accomplished, particularly from a community like perspective. And one of the things that I remember about you, Howard, and it's really influenced me and impacted me. I don't know that I've ever said this, and I've never heard you talk about it publicly. But years ago, when the Katrina thing happened, I don't know why I called you, but I was on the phone with you, and you told me about the fact that you were on your way to New Orleans or close to the city, and that you were going to set up this kind of data bank or information bank so that you and some other brothers could help track families and people who have been beset with the, during the flood and the rains and the whole catastrophe. And I'll never forget that, man. And it was just, you just told it like, it was just an everyday occurrence, man. But it just spoke to me just of the kind of person you are. Like I said, I've never heard you talk about it publicly, although I've heard you talk publicly, at the frat house and other places, excuse me, several times. But I just wanted to say, man, that, you're not just a good brother. I think you're a great brother. And it is really, really an honor for me to have you on today.
I appreciate that, Rob. You're right. I hadn't talked much about it. It was just one of those things that I didn't see all the things that could be done to help people who were actually dying out there in New Orleans. And when I watched it on television, tears came to my eyes. I told my wife I was going to New Orleans. She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." So she said, "It might be dangerous." So, I just packed a couple of things that I can use as a weapon in case I really got to happen like that. But, I'm trained in martial arts, so I kind of felt a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
But, that was something that, just to help the fraternity collect all the boxes of goods that were going to New Orleans. And actually, I had to stay in Baton Rouge. They wouldn't let us in New Orleans. So I stayed there and helped out.
Right. It's funny. I had an occasion to go to Baton Rouge. Southern University is there, and it's a pretty place, interesting place too. So let's talk about some of the, your history and background. I wanted to start with, you're from North Philly, Johnson Homes, the Valley, and so share a little bit about what, obviously back in the day, and we're talking the mid 60s when you're in high school and what have you. A lot of drama in Philly, a lot of drama in North Philly, certainly in trouble, but also a lot of positive things. Share with us, some of that and, how difficult it might have been to deal with that, but, what was going on in the community that kind of helped get you through.
Well, one thing, as you mentioned, there were in the late 50s and mid-60s, up to the mid-60s or late 60s, there were a lot of gangs. Every street corner in Philadelphia had a gang.
Yeah.
So, to protect yourself, you joined the gang that was in your neighborhood. In a lot of cases, some people didn't. And actually, I wasn't what they considered a gang banger, really thoroughly immersed in the gang, as some individual friends of mine were. But many of us had one foot in the Boy Scouts and one foot in the gang. Every year we would go on the playground and we would box to re-up our initiation into the gang. So we did that every year, and fast forward, participating in that, I've had guys come to my house with shotguns from other gangs, and my mother saying a few bad words to me about being involved with what she called jitterbugs. And I've gotten caught up in a situation where I got stabbed in the head and stomped, and actually that was the first time I think I was really scared. Most of the time, I encountered gangs. I wasn't really that scared about it. I may have had to run, but it wasn't a big deal. That fear set in when you got about 40 guys, two different gangs, stopping you and stabbing at you, and that's a different story, you know, until you experience that, you know.
How'd you get it? How'd you get through that? How'd you get out of there?
Well, I didn't. When I first out, they circled around me, asked me was I from a gang called 23rd and Diamond, and I said no. And they were from 29th and Diamond and the Village. Two other gangs would come together to go and find 23rd and Diamond. So they couldn't find them, so they just took it out on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was shooting basketball by myself at Moreland Recreation Center at 25th and Diamond when they came in. I got out of it by them just getting tired of stopping, essentially, and I shook it off, and I woke up. I guess I was knocked out, and I just looked, and they were dribbling my basketball outside of the gate. So I knew they didn't run. So I assumed that I was unconscious for a second or two, and they took my coat and my basketball and everything and just left. And I staggered back over to the project, bleeding profusely from the head. And after that, you know, my father, who wasn't living with me, came over. We went looking for them. And I think the only thing that superseded the fear I had was my anger, because they were going to walk away until one guy punched me in the mouth. And that's when they all came in. And then I told my father, when you catch up with him, don't shoot the guy, just hold the gun on him and let me beat him like they beat me. That's how angry I was. And we went looking for them. I only could recognize one guy, so long story short, I survived that, and that just made me think a little bit more about even being involved in the game.
Well, how you know, what kind of outlets, I guess, led to you, you know, kind of getting out of getting away from that whole kind of vibe, and then, you know, on the road to college and all that?
Well, one thing, and the reason I mentor boys and I do what I do for youth is that, like I said, I had one foot in the Boy Scouts, so getting the opportunity to leave the projects and go camping, I fell in love with nature. Me and a bunch of other guys, you know, we would go camping, hiking, and we loved it. And so that got me away from that environment at least some weekends and for camp a whole week. So as I grew up, I became a Boy Scout and Explorer Scout, and you couldn't become an Eagle Scout easily in the projects because none of the merit badge counselors felt safe coming down there to help you out. So you had to settle for, I made it to Star Scout. You had to have certain 21 merit badges to be an Eagle Scout. I got up to 10 for Star, but you needed 15 for life and 21 for Eagle. So most boys down in North Philly didn't get to make Eagle because the merit badge counselors wouldn't come in the neighborhood. So that was the dilemma. But as I grew up and I became finally a Scoutmaster. Well, actually I was a year too young to be the Scoutmaster, but the boys have been saving money to go to camp, and because the Scoutmaster couldn't make it, they weren't going to be able to go to camp. So I told them if they had vehicles to take us, that I would serve as the Scoutmaster. They could just change my age to 21, which they did. And I took a bunch of little thugs from the projects to the camping trip, and I had to take measures like hold them underwater in the swimming pool to make them behave the next day, and things like that. But it was rewarding because till this day they appreciate it. I see some of these guys when we have youth reunions in North Philly, they always tell me how they appreciated what I did for them, as I appreciated what the men who looked after us did for us.
Yeah, Howard, Pork, hold on for a second. I'm going to stop